Hey guys, Raven of Ash here. Welcome to the Fire Witch Cosplay Invasions. Special thanks to Lagman that suggested in the comments to one of my videos that I should do an Immolation Tinder build. I'm really into making exotic invasion builds and I really like this one. This is a soul level 125 build, by the way. This build revolves around the main weapon, the Immolation Tinder, and 3 other weapons for support purposes. The Cleric's Candlestick to increase my spell damage, the Rapier on the offhand, mainly for poking and parries, although I sometimes two-hand it, and the Aquamarine Dagger, mainly for shits and giggles, because I don't play very well with it. I suggest you watch a video by DangitJM, I hope I'm saying it well, a very good YouTuber about the Aquamarine Dagger. Video link in the description. Going a little more in depth about each weapon. The Immolation Tinder, besides being a halberd, is also a sorcery catalyst, which is what makes this a very flexible weapon. You can do a lot of mix-ups with regular attacks, its weapon art, and melee sorceries like the Old Moonlight. I chose the Rapier for this build because I think it's the only thrusting sword that can parry on the offhand, and most people don't know that. Its R1s are fast and complements the Immolation Tinder's slowness when dual wielding. Fashion-wise, it's a delicate weapon, which I feel suits the build very well. The Aquamarine Dagger synergizes well with this build, as its weapon art is very strong and really benefits for a big FP pool in order to use it at will. The damage this weapon can do and the combos it allows are really a thing of beauty. As for spells, only 2 are really important for the way I was playing, although I had 4 attunement slots. The Great Heavy Soul Arrow and the Old Moonlight. I also used Snap Freeze as I thought it was cosplay appropriate, and the Great Farron Dart, which I almost didn't use. But why the Great Heavy Soul Arrow and not the Soul Spears? Because invasions are in a large part a resource war, and you only have 7 Estus to allot to regular and Ashen Estus. A Soul Spear costs more than twice the FP of the Great Heavy Soul Arrow, and the Crystal Soul Spear more than 3 times the FP of the Great Heavy Soul Arrow, and does nowhere near 3 times the damage. Like Saint Riot said in one of his videos, if you are a ganker host with 14 Estus, go ahead and go for the Crystal Soul Spears. If not, go for Soul Arrows. As for stats, the Immolation Tinder forces a big stat spread, as it makes me spend points in strength and dexterity up to 18, which is a lot in a caster build. 25 attunement grants me a big FP pool. Once vigor and endurance were at around 40, the rest was pumped into intelligence. Ring wise, I'm using the Prisoner's Chain for 5 extra points on vigor, endurance and vitality. The Sage Ring +1, I think it was a +1. The Bellowing Dragon Ring for increased spell damage, and the 4th slot was used for switching between several rings. Silvercat, Obscuring, Cloranti, Young Dragon Ring were the main. I was running with 2 Ashen Estus in invasions, which might be a bit too much, as this build is very FP efficient. You can probably get by very well with only 1. So, as you can see, this build was designed to cause damage up close and also at long range. Let's see how it fared on some invasions. So the first 2 invasions are easier fights against maybe less skilled opponents. It's just to show how the build works and the combos that I usually do with it. So I had fought this guy before, and this guy was a bit cocky, and I just thought about throwing a soul arrow because he threw a lot of bombs in the first fight, so it worked. So the main thing with the Immolation Tinder is get your distance right, get the spacing right. And this is a combo I do a lot. I go for the 2 R1s and then throw the Old Moonlight for the roll catch. And it's a bit inconsistent, but a lot of times it works. So now I want to end the fight and I go into the R1 weapon art with the rapier, which I think it's cool as hell, but nobody uses it because it's not really good, but it worked here. So next up we have this fight with Dreadnought. He's using the Claymore and the Shield of Want. And the Immolation Tinder is not a very good weapon for applying pressure, in my opinion. So I usually start off with the Old Moonlight, and then I go for the R1 because the Old Moonlight forces them to roll. I also use the weapon art. I think it's a very underutilized weapon art because the timing it's a bit odd and it catches a lot of people unaware. So same thing here, I go for the Old Moonlight and then I go for the R1. In this case we trade. Now I get my spacing right and I go for the weapon art that causes relatively good damage. 300 is not bad. And now I want to end the fight with the aquamarine dagger and wrong weapon, not this one. So I want to end the fight with an R2 poke because I want to show you guys the insane range, especially for a dagger, of this poke. So the weapon art into R2, it's very good, and a lot of time it catches the opponent unaware. So this was a really interesting fight. I was the host, he invaded me, and so I was playing around with the homing soul mass in this build, but I didn't think that the damage I was doing with it was enough to keep the spell in the build. So now I wanted to do the old Moonlight, but I had the soul arrow on. So I tried to punish his healing with the Immolation Tinder weapon art. And this guy is using a very interesting build. He's using a chaos build, and this was very well done. He rolls in the first R1 and then tries to parry and does get a partial parry on the second R1. So now I'm aware that he knows how to parry, and he tries to do the same thing here. Actually, I didn't discuss these roll-in parries in the invasion parry guide because I don't really do them. I think that the timing is very finicky, so it's very hard to do this well. So in here he again goes for it. He dodges, he rolls through my first R1 and tries to parry my second R1. In here I try to parry his rolling attack, but his rolling attack doesn't come out. Now I see that he has a Pyro Flame, and he drew a Chaos Bad Vestiges against me. In here I try to go for the Rapier's R1, but the tracking is really bad while one-handed, so I miss it and he hits me with the Black Flame. Because he chugged before, I feel free to chug as well. And because he's very parry happy, I want to keep my health at full at all times, in case he gets a riposte on me. Now he does a big mistake. He goes for the stomp weapon art on the Zweilhander, and he gets out of stamina, and that's how I can punish him. And here I go for the rolling attack, because I knew that he probably would have tried to parry my R1, but not the rolling attack. The rolling attack on the halberd very fast. And now I'm able to punish his Estus healing with the weapon art from the Immolation Tinder, and then he drinks in my face and gets punished. But now as I'm almost finishing the fight, because he has like no health left, he stays very calm, and he manages to parry me and get the Hornet Ring riposte with the Zweilhander. And this is a measure of a player's skill. I mean, he was very calm. I mean, he has no health left, and I know that he has no Estus left. So he played really well, really calm. So at this point I know that he doesn't have any more Estus left because he hasn't healed and he had the chance. So I'm gonna go with the rapier for the last attack. So I bait him with the Halberd R1, and then I trade with the rapier against his Black Flame. A really cool fight against a really cool build. GG, man. Now for the last invasion, this was an invasion against a 4-man party, which is good to showcase the long range abilities of this build. And I usually invade at soul level 125, especially because I get to do full builds that have a lot of options and that have a lot of spells, and I get to use a lot of weapons in just one build. Despite the fact that nowadays it's getting harder and harder to get opponents at soul level 125. So I'm getting good damage on them, about 400 damage for each soul arrow, and that's about 1/3 of a phantom's health, or a little bit more depending on their build. So now I'm going for a little bit of zoning with Snap Freeze, and Snap Freeze isn't really a bad sorcery, but it's not that useful in invasions because everybody tends to roll out of it as soon as they see the effect. I'm trying not to fall down too fast because I have the Silver Cat ring and I won't get any damage, but I want to try to bait him out, and I don't want to lose that advantage. So only in a case of emergency should I decide to go down there, and now I do because all of them were converging on me. And a lot of times when you jump, if they are near you, you get to draw them out. I managed to draw this one out, and I get to do some punishment on him. And against ultra weapons, you can do this really reliably. You just walk around the running attack and you get to backstab him. So now I want to punish, and I use the Old Moonlight. But the Old Moonlight projectile usually targets the floor and not their chest level. So a lot of times you end up hitting the floor. So I thought that they would get rid of the knight quicker than they did. So I'm back here throwing some Snap Freezes. And you can see by the FPs that I have that this build is really a very focus point efficient build. I've thrown around a lot of sorceries and I only had to drink one Estus. So now I tried to go for a little trap here, but I only managed to hit the host with the Old Moonlight for 167 damage. So the hitboxes on that spell are also not very good. Now I try to position in order to see what the whole party is doing, and I managed to get some damage on this guy. Now everybody's converging on me, so it's time to move out of here. At soul level 125, the most important thing is not to be damaged, and a full party of 4 still hasn't damaged me at all. You can worry about doing damage later, but the most important thing is to survive in order to be able to do some damage to them. Now I managed to get some soul arrows in them, and the most important thing here is to keep targeting different opponents, because they're only going to get hit once, and they will roll out of the second projectile. So switch around targets as much as you can. So at this point, this guy was really lagging. The one with the flaming Millwood axe, and the other one got killed by the Herald Knight, and this guy teleports near me, and then it says that he has returned home. He's probably lagged out. One thing that's very important in this area of the game, because the PvE is so hard, is to just aggro the party. You don't really need to do a lot of damage to them. You can leave that to the Herald Knight. So if you can split the party's attention, probably the Herald Knights will kill some of them. So now I'm facing the host in a 1v1, and I didn't think that he would be hit by the soul arrow. He's using the Cellsar Twin Blades, and the Cellsar Twin Blades only work at very short ranges. So I use the Immolation Tinder weapon art, which catches everybody by surprise because nobody uses that. But I like the mix-up in timings. Now I take out the rapier and I want to end the fight with the parry. And this guy goes for the weapon art, which was a good play by him. But I really don't know if he really wanted to do the weapon art, so I'm trying to go again for the parry. So I know that he's gonna roll through my R1 because it's slow as hell when one-handing the Immolation Tinder, and then he does the rolling attack, and I managed to parry him with the rapier. This also works because a lot of people don't know that the rapier can parry. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll try to upload the second episode of this series as soon as I can.